We have a great next speaker that I tend to meet at all crypto conferences, Joshua Riddett, the founding and managing director of Easy Crypto Hunter. And he's going to talk to us about crypto mining and answer if crypto mining are money-making machines too good to be true. It's a good question. Thanks, Joshua. Welcome. Give him a hand, guys. Come on.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Josh, and hopefully I'm going to be able to take you through some questions today, which is kind of what it's all about. So hopefully I want to cut through a lot of the rubbish that's kind of out there in the industry and just kind of give you the real figures, real numbers, kind of take you through what's important in this world. So this is kind of us. So money-making machines, too good to be true. It's all going to be UK focused as well, because a lot of people have a misconception that you can't do this in the UK, and we're here to kind of prove that wrong. So this is pretty much the lineup of what we've got over the next kind of 30 minutes-ish. Who we are and what we do, kind of interesting. Mining myths debunked, because no doubt there'll be a lot of you here that have heard this or they've heard that, and actually a lot of the stuff you've heard probably isn't quite true. So we're here to kind of dismay a lot of that as well. And then really once we've gone through that, we're going to take you through the opportunities that there are in the UK. That's pretty much where we're going to go through. So who are we? So there's my little ugly face. That's kind of what we do. So we kind of like to do things differently, because in crypto, there's a lot of kind of stuff out there that isn't maybe the best. You know, there's a couple of scams, there's a couple of dodgy companies, there's all this type of stuff. We just like to do things old school, nice and transparent. So we have real offices, real people, real staff. Anyone that wants to purchase equipment can actually come and meet us, come and see where it's built, meet the people that build it, and walk away with your items that same day. We like to keep things the way that it should be done, which doesn't seem to happen that much anymore, unfortunately. So I kind of founded the company with these values in mind, really, just normal guys and girls with a friendly face that just want to be able to do things the way that we want to do, and ultimately really help the people get into crypto, because it can be really confusing, especially this mining stuff, these crazy money-making machines, you know. So we wanted to kind of diversify and make people feel a bit more confident. So this is kind of the core of what the company does. We specialize in GPU mining, particularly GTX 1080 Ti's, which are the most powerful cards on the planet, and we specialize in giving people the most powerful equipment that there is. Secondly, obviously, we roll that into mining farms for our larger customers. And we'll discuss those. And then crypto containers. Now, I can't play the video or I'll end up breaking something, but on our stand over in the exhibit hall, we do have a video of some of the containers that we've been sending around the world as well. So there's lots of people that like putting mining equipment in storage, shipping containers, plugging that into different hydroelectric, wind turbine, renewable, solar kind of stuff, or even just into the grid at various locations. So that's another service that we're happy to do. And then we consult a lot with a lot of big companies that want to look at new coins and mining and all that type of stuff too. So this is kind of the boring stuff, the legal disclaimer. As I said, I want to be as entirely transparent as I can. So there are plenty of numbers in here. So just as with everything with this, before my lawyer kind of kicks me off stage, I have to give you a legal disclaimer to make sure that you understand. Take the numbers with a pinch of salt. We put this together very recently, so the numbers are as correct as they can be realistically. But again, this is crypto. Things change very quickly. So please double check anything that we put up here, and we're happy to discuss that with you. So first things first, a lot of people don't really understand what mining is or how it works or how this machine can just create money. So I'm going to give you a quick little overview, because I appreciate in this room you're probably better educated than most. So what are mining rigs actually doing? They're effectively updating the public ledger. So if I wanted to send you some Ethereum, it's the machines out there in the hall that we've got with us today that kind of update the ledger, and subsequently new coins are created through that process, in a nutshell, without giving you all the boring technical stuff. So you can kind of think about it. People over-egg how complex that is. People go, oh, I don't really get it, Josh, it's just really confusing. Loads of us in this room have rented or maybe have our own websites. We don't think anything of paying money to host a website on a server. That's just common practice. But yet people can't reverse that logic and go, actually, well, I have this machine and I'm just renting out power to a network and getting paid for it. That is effectively what a mining rig is doing. You're kind of powering a network and in return getting a commission on the coins which are generated through finding the blocks, and that's how you get paid. So a similar type of logic. So that's pretty much it. This is kind of the core of really what I want to get to today, the mining myth busting, because this is a lot of questions that are behind me. People kind of have, you may have heard things or kind of got the wrong impression about things. And this is why we love to be able to kind of go through this and just kind of make people realize that there is some really exciting stuff going on here. Mining is unnecessary. You know, there's so many of these proof of stake coins, Josh. Why do you need to waste all this power and mine these coins? Fundamentally, proof of work is a technological mechanism which has lots and lots of intrinsic advantages over the way that we do things. The fact that all these computers exist all around the world means that everything is decentralized. It's not in a single place. I mean, I'm sure a lot of this is very familiar to you guys. But fundamentally, it's a very, very important thing, and there's lots of value added to what we are able to offer. So a good example is obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum. What people fail to realize is, as it stands at the moment, virtually everything is traded, at least at one point, through Bitcoin and Ethereum with trading pairs. So considering those two are the biggest proof of work coins in existence, you can't then not say that proof of work is important, because otherwise the whole infrastructure of the network somehow ends up fading away. So there's only one way to mine coins. Now, everyone always goes, oh, I'm going to get me an ASIC miner, and I'm going to get an S9, and I'm going to mine Bitcoin. And that's awesome, and you can definitely do that. But there's a lot more things that you can do. So this is now old. There's over 600 mineable coins since the last week that we put this presentation together. So there's over 600 mineable, GPU mineable coins. And the best thing is about the GPU stuff is even the new coins that don't exist yet, you'll still be able to mine in a week's time, next week, 2 months, whenever the new coins come out. It's a very flexible bit of kit. And we have here at the bottom lots of different algorithms. Now, again, without boring everyone with all the technical stuff, an algorithm is effectively the language which a coin is written in. And the GPU cards, the graphics cards, are extremely good at doing lots and lots of these different things, very flexible bits of kit. So one, what is an ASIC miner? No doubt a couple of you have heard of that. Bitmain are the big company who make the S9 AMP miners, the most powerful Bitcoin miners in the world. It's an application-specific integrated chip, jazzy name. And that's pretty much what it looks like. You're probably all very familiar with that type of image. Whereas GPU mining is similar to what we have out there, which is a graphics card processing unit. It looks a little bit different and performs very differently too. So this is a little kind of summary. Again, I'm conscious of time, so I don't want to kind of blast you with every tech detail. Just to set this up as well, guys, I'm not going to be doing a Q&A in this section. I'm actually speaking at 3 o'clock upstairs. So any questions and answers from here, I'm going to give it a full section upstairs. So if you want to reserve your questions till then, I'll be more than happy to answer anything. So any of these things I go through a bit too quick or something you missed, please feel free, and we'll do that entirely transparently up there for you. So in a nutshell, what this comes down to is ASIC mining is fantastic, but only under very limited conditions. The speed that the technology changes is very, very quick, and fundamentally, they only mine one coin very, very well. Whereas with GPU mining, you have an unlimited flexibility to mine lots of different coins in lots of different places. So essentially, my kind of argument is, why back one horse when you can buy the whole racetrack and make money on any winner? That's kind of a good logical way to kind of understand that. So you should mine Ethereum. No doubt all of you have heard about Ethereum mining. It's the best thing in the world to mine. And that was definitely true 12 months ago. But things have changed. So the question that we get asked all the time is when people see our equipment is, Josh, how many mega hashes is your machine getting? So just for you that don't know, mega hashes is a denomination of speed for mining. But what people get confused about is all those algorithms that we saw before, that little list, all of those are measured in different speeds. So the same way we have miles an hour and kilometers an hour, those different algorithms are measured in different speeds. So if you say, oh, it's this much on this algorithm, it doesn't necessarily mean it's that much proportionately on another. And a lot of people fail to understand that, and that's where they can get confused. Because they might look at one mining rig that's got 6 cards and think, oh, that's really cheap, or another one that's 6 cards and really expensive, and don't understand the differences between them. So this is a question that kind of always gets our goat. So this is kind of really interesting. So this is a website called whattomine.com. It does what it says on the tin, you know, whatdoimine.com. And this is really, really kind of interesting. So that machine that we have out there, the 6-card 1080 Ti, is the most powerful bit of GPU mining on the planet. That's the best you can kind of get at this point in time. And everyone says, oh, it must be amazing for Ethereum. And yeah, it is. But in all honesty, it's not amazing, bang for your buck. You can get more power for Ethereum cheaper. But what people fail to understand is that actually this Ethereum love child that everyone has doesn't actually work out. So at the moment, the most profitable coin to mine at the time of putting this together is a coin called Raven coin. A lot of you may or may not have heard of it. It might be new to you, but equally, it kind of doesn't matter, because even if you don't like Raven coin, you could mine twice as much of it and then sell it into Ethereum and double your money in a day. So if we look up here, so there's Raven, and then we try to find where Ethereum is, it's actually the 15th most profitable coin to mine. So this is just kind of giving you an illusion to how wide the market goes, and very few people realize kind of how much meat is really on the bone in this sector. So again here, this is just a little demonstration of the kind of power differences between cards and technical stuff, ultimately, which is why we use the 1080 Ti, because it's a really, really powerful card and has a lot of flexibility. So everything is moving to ASIC. So a lot of people may or may not be aware recently, Bitmain have now kind of moved, and they've got an Ethereum ASIC miner. They've tried recently to make an Equihash ASIC miner. And that's good for them, I guess, but people are worried that actually, well, if this company is moving and there's going to be these machines that do each one of these algorithms, why do I need to buy a GPU machine? Because this other company does it better and faster and cheaper. But what we've actually found is the GPU community has fundamentally rejected that kind of impounding domination of Bitmain. So as great a company as Bitmain is, because it's so big and so powerful, a lot of people don't like the fact that there's one company that effectively controls the production of Bitcoin, because that's the only way to mine that coin really at any competitive level. So even though we have a decentralized crypto world, if there's one manufacturer that's dominating the whole scene, it makes it very difficult for other people to compete. So what we've found here is with things like Monero, so Bitmain recently brought out a kryptonite miner to mine Monero, and then Monero forked. So that machine instantly became redundant overnight and could not mine Monero. So anyone that had spent £10 million of equipment for Monero, it was literally worth zero the next day. That's kind of a big risk. Again, a problem you don't have in the GPU world. Again, with Zcash, they've tried to do it on Equihash algorithm. Lots of the Equihash coins have now agreed to fork to, again, avoid this problem. So ultimately, people like the kind of original Satoshi Nakamoto's view, you know, one CPU, one vote. You know, everybody wants a little slice of this pie. Now, fundamentally, I appreciate we've gone past the point of using a normal computer now, but the graphics cards that are contained without there, you know, you could just go to a shop and buy one, and you could at least get in on the action a little bit. It's difficult to do that if you have to buy specific equipment in order to do that. So we kind of want to keep a bit more true to that. This has led to things like Ravencoin, which is designed from the ground up to be able to be an ASIC-resistant coin. All those other algorithms we took before, the 16 algorithms, this runs on a new algorithm called X16R, which, in a nutshell, without being too confusing, takes all the other algorithms and then randomly rotates them. And if an ASIC machine can only do one thing very well, it struggles to move around, and it basically can't mine these yet, which is quite cool. So it's high maintenance. So I bought this machine. Oh, it's going to be really difficult to look after. How do I do that? Everything can be done for you. So you can end up with a machine that you literally buy, plug in, turn it on, off it goes. There's lots of different ways to run the equipment. NiceHash is one way to do it. Not the best, certainly not, but it does things for you on a very easy basis. It basically mines some of the more profitable coins, sells them, and pays you in Bitcoin, which is an interesting approach. People like that hands-free nature. You can also, there's other ways to mine there too, which we'll get onto later. Electric, that is a big, big concern, particularly in the UK. This is probably the question that we get asked all the time. It's so expensive in electric, you're never going to make any money. And yes, there's no two ways about it. Mining in the UK is more expensive than other countries. But again, we're very transparent with the numbers. This is what you're going to end up paying. For our top-end mining rig, you're actually looking at around £130 a month domestic, £108 a month commercial. But if I'm making £600 a month profit, I'm all right with that. That's fine. Now, of course, you can move to other countries, and a lot of facilities you'll be aware of, you know, Genesis and so on and so forth, are set up in other European countries where the electric's much cheaper, and that's great. And we have customers who want to do that. But what people don't realize is, one, at scale, there's a much cheaper electric available in the UK. through renewable energies and hydro and electro, and we actually have a lot of customers who get electric at 4.5p a kilowatt, which is less than half the cost of this. And second to that, what people fail to equate into that is the logistical factors of moving overseas. So if you have a £10 million project and you want to go and mine in another country, it's probably about worth it at that point. But below that point, you have to think about shipping costs, import taxes, logistics of different power grids, different systems. So for all you could move to an eastern country where the electric's half the price, you will save some money there. There are other intrinsic variable costs which people don't factor in, which actually makes the balance not so attractive. So generally, as a rule of thumb, anyone under 5 million, we advise to stay in the UK. Above that, then there is a discussion to be had, depending upon quite how that works out. So it's too technical for me. It's going to be really difficult, Josh. I don't know code. I don't know kind of any languages. I'm none of this. Neither do I. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Everything is set up from us, so everything is really just plug and play. You don't have to do anything. You literally can just select the machines, not only to kind of pay you in Bitcoin if you wish, or you can select them to mine any individual coin of your choice. And it's about as difficult, in all honesty, as learning how to send your first crypto payment, which I'm sure all of you have done many times now. So running the cards constantly kills them. All right, Josh, you've bought this cool bit of kit and it's going to be on 24 hours a day. It's going to be dead in a month. You can't leave something running 24 hours a day. Again, not true. Think of it like this. We all know driving on the motorway is pretty okay for our cars. You might do hundreds and hundreds of miles, but the damage to your car occurs when you're in the London traffic, city, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, really bad for your cards. And that's actually what these graphics cards are designed to do in their primary purpose, because they're designed to play graphics and do computer learning and that type of stuff, which typically is on, off, on, off, on, off. So if we run them at a constant speed, at a constant temperature, and actually undervolt them so they're being utilized less than normal, they have a really, really quite nice shelf life. And we find actually that people that are mining generally end up with very good rates on how many cards end up breaking. I mean, for example, quite honestly, more than luck than anything, the amount of stuff we've sold, we've never had a single card fail on a customer. Even if they do, everything's covered on a 12-month warranty and you're good to go. So I need to be a crypto expert to mine. Again, there's so many ways to do this now. You can literally Google whattomine.com. It brings up the website, which is the best coin with my machine. Oh, that's the best coin, and then there's even a link of how to mine it. If you can Google and copy and paste, this is not technically above anybody. Even if it was, we have a full after-sales support team. Give us a call, and we're here to kind of help. This is kind of what we specialize in doing. So that's kind of given the baseline for all the stuff that may or may not be true. Now, what you're really interested in is what are the opportunities then that come from this in the UK particularly. So this is great. Time to hit me with some figures. So this kind of works on a 3-step valuation. So step 1 is kind of your daily mining that you're able to earn. Step 2 is the asset value of the equipment that you own. And this is kind of a fundamental difference to us and other companies, where other companies such as Genesis, for example, great at what they do, but you don't own anything. You can give them £10,000 and you don't own anything. If that company was to go under, for example, you've got no comeback. You just kind of buying power. Whereas with us, we exclusively sell hardware that you as a customer 100% own, which makes things a little bit different. So these are the numbers that I'm sure you're somewhat interested in. So at the moment, you're looking at around an average, each machine, as an average of the first quarter of this month and as an average of last year, kind of banked around £30 a day on average, which when you work it out is about a 278-day ROI. Now, when you factor in the residual asset value of these cards, and that's the really cool thing, because it's made of computer components, effectively, it's a very posh computer, even if crypto went to 0 tomorrow, God forbid, it won't, don't worry, but if it did, you've still got a lot of money contained in equipment within these. And if you had to, you part the thing out on eBay, and you're not going to come out too badly. Again, it's another advantage of using this type of equipment over an ASIC machine, because an ASIC machine fundamentally is a one-trick pony, which is why there's some disadvantages there. So, and then of course you've got the third stage, which is all that crypto that you're mining. What happens when the price of that goes up? That changes the numbers really quite dramatically, as we'll see quite shortly. So this is kind of the warning. Stop thinking in pounds and pence, because you're buying a machine or you might be interested in buying a machine that produces crypto. So you should be thinking in Satoshis. You know, it's all about crypto acquisition rather than pounds and pence. So focus on the growth of crypto. That's kind of where we're at here. But I know people don't like to think like that. People like to think of pounds and pence. So let's give you a little example of how that works. So the same 6-card machine which we have outside, in January this year, obviously things were going great for crypto in January, was making you around £1,500 profit per month. That same machine now is making you around £500 per month. And what people look at on the surface is they go, oh, well, it's 3 times worse than it was then, Josh. Why am I interested? It's got rubbish. But what they fail to understand is that the amount of coins that the machine is producing is pretty similar. It's just the value of the coins on the market which has changed. So 1,500 here, 500 here, but it's actually mined the same amount of coins, really. It's just the value of those have changed. So obviously, once the market picks back up, as we know it will, then that's the kind of way to think about where this is going to be. So this is kind of where we run a comparison. So just for argument's sake, for example, most of our customers, over 80% of our customers are actually property developers. Because the guys and girls that seem to really understand passive income, put in some assets, return on investment, and at the end of the day, a mining rig's like a virtual tenant, but they don't mess up your carpets. It's great. So you can put a lot of those in a house and earn some quite nice money. So what we actually have here is at £500 a month, you're still getting, even now when the market, in all honesty, is quite stagnant, 6% a month. Sounds all right to me. If I could take 6% a month for the next 2 years, that's a win. You know, you're going to struggle to get that in any other type of investment, which is really quite cool. So typically the example we use is a property developer. If you can't buy a house for £100,000 anymore, but if you could, get a house for £100,000, put a tenant in there, you might do well to get £8,000 or £9,000, 8 to 9% yield per year. That's a really good amount. But obviously if you compare that to 6% a month, hang on a minute, I can fit 10 or 15 or 20 rigs in a house instead of one tenant, then the numbers kind of get really interesting. Not that I'm suggesting to kick people out, just to make that clear. But in a nutshell, this is kind of what we're left with. We're left with the Swiss Army knife of the mining world. It can mine any coin, anytime, any place, and including the new coins yet that don't exist, which is why it's kind of really cool. So how then, Josh, do I use this machine to the best of my advantages? What tools does this machine have for me? So these are pretty much it. So you can run the machine on auto mine software, mine today's most profitable coin, mine newer, lesser known coins, which is what we're going to get onto here, mine solo pools, and then masternode coins. So I'll explain this to you step by step, because I appreciate it might be new for some of you. So you can use some software called NiceHash. Now, it's certainly not the most profitable, it's certainly not the most optimal, but it's very, very easy for kind of the beginner people to turn it on, press go, off you go, very easy. It mines lots of different coins, and then instead of keeping lots of different coins, it actually pays you in Bitcoin, which is super simple for a lot of people. We actually use another software called SMOS, a Simple Mining Operating System for our larger customers. That's an operating system that runs on Linux through an online login, and you basically log in and you control 1 rig, 5 rig, 10 rigs, 100 rigs, all from one remote place. And that's the software that you can mine any coin, anytime, any place, and hold that individual coin. Loads of opportunities there. So you can mine newer, lesser known coins and actually earn a really nice chunk of change. So to put it in an example, as soon as a new coin launches, obviously the difficulty of that coin is teeny tiny. And with a lot of power, you can mine an absolute crap ton of coins. And obviously, maybe that coin may or may not be good in the future. But the point is if you can do that repeatedly with maybe, I have a customer particularly that mines a new coin once a week. And after 3 months, they've got 12 massive bags of coins. One of those hits an exchange, and they've just bought an entire rig. There's a lot of kind of big swings that you can take if you like to play the game that way. So number 4, this is really interesting because people don't really understand what you can do here. So if you're mining, generally speaking, you join a mining pool. Now, a mining pool is effectively just a team of people all clubbing together to mine their power. So if you imagine loads of guys down a mine with a pickaxe and they're all looking for that bit of gold, if there's 10 of you, it's more likely that someone's going to find it. And equally, when you find that in this term's block reward, everybody shares that equally for their power proportion that goes into the system. Whereas if you have enough mining power yourself, and particularly on the smaller coins, you can actually make your own mining pool. So no one else can come in there but you. So if you find that block reward, you get the entire block, which can be an awful lot of coins. So that's another way to kind of completely change the numbers that we've just seen. Those numbers that we've seen, bear in mind, are just an average of kind of running it as you would. It doesn't include any of these methods at all. This is separate and different. So masternodes is a really big hot topic in crypto at the moment. Everyone's really getting excited about them. Loads of cool things coming up. But masternodes, fundamentally, you can mine a lot of the masternode coins. So why, instead of backing one masternode, would you not buy a device that can mine all the masternode coins, and then you can bag up on lots of different masternodes as you go? So that's kind of my approach. Is a really nice way to be able to do things. So no matter how you choose to mine, it's all about making it work for you. And ultimately, it's all about that flexibility, which is why we only really use GPUs in the company, because I want the best value proposition for the average people in crypto. Because it's very confusing, it moves really fast, and ultimately we just want people to have their bums covered for as long as possible. And that's really what this is able to offer. So who is it for? Okay, they sound great. Why don't you just give them to everyone, Josh? Is it for a certain type of people? Is it really for me? Property developers are our big customers, business owners. There are some amazing advantages of buying this through a company. If any of you guys have companies, get your VAT back. It's just a posh computer. You can even write it down as tax deductibles. And we've even had some customers, rightly or wrongly, put it through as R&D tax credits. So that's not for me to worry about how you do your accounts. That's between you and your accountant. But there's a lot of advantages in the UK particularly, where you're developing new technologies such as blockchain innovation to kind of get some really nice money off these types of products. Crypto traders, we have a lot of traders that use this, because if you buy a mining rig, it ends up spitting out so much crypto, you can trade that crypto very aggressively, because it effectively becomes free spins at the casino, because you don't have to keep putting your hand in your pocket. Another way for people to use it. Individuals, we've had customers that kind of, have bought one for different purposes. The wife's gone on maternity, or they've done this, or they've done that. Lots of different reasons. Business owners, again, we've kind of gone through the advantage here. Property developers is a really big one. You can fit 16 of these in a normal UK house. And before you know it, that one house is now earning £8,500 a month instead of 500 quid on a rent, which is kind of cool. So there's a really interesting thing that happens with the psychology of traders too, because that's, like I said, you end up with all this crypto in your pocket at the end of the month, and then before you know it, it all keeps spewing out, which is really good. So I'll just kind of get through to the last bit here. We have a lot of solar customers, hydroelectric too, farmers. This is a big thing for us, actually. We're working with a lot of waste-to-energy firms, a lot of solar, hydroelectric firms. Fundamentally, in the UK, even though we create a lot of renewable energy, our grid system is pretty poor. It's very difficult for that power to get back to the grid. So we end up with a lot of people who generate money and get paid for that tariff, but have excess energy that's not really used properly. So this figures out a really nice way to use that energy. So that's the kind of number I've given you the keys to the kingdom. So on an average of 30 quid a day, if you go back from January 2017 to December 2018, £30 a day was kind of the average of what a machine made. So over the year, you're thinking 365 days, the thing cost me £8,000 plus VAT. I probably made a couple of grand, and now I'm left with a machine that's mining profit every day for free. Awesome. But this is where it gets really interesting. If you would have held that £30 a day of crypto that you would have had, obviously we all know last year was an amazing year. So one mining rig actually ended up pumping out close to 92k profit, which is pretty insane. So I have no idea how much one is going to make this year, next year, the next few months. I can't predict the future. But what I can predict is that you're going to end up working with people who can be honest, be transparent, and help answer any questions that kind of exist. And ultimately, every machine that we sell, I'm passionate about creating a bigger, stronger infrastructure for blockchain, because every other machine that goes out to the public completely makes the whole network stronger, makes crypto more accessible, and gets more people involved. And that's really what I love to do. So thank you very much for your time. I hope that was really interesting for you. Up at 3 o'clock, we'll be in there for questions and answers, so we'll delay the questions and answers to there. But thank you very much, everyone. I hope that was useful.